Hi, welcome to our channel Programming of Mind, where we accelerate your knowledge with concise, from high-value book summaries. Let's begin. The role of culture in shaping success. Success is not just a personal achievement. It is often the result of cultural influences that shape how we approach challenges, work with others, and view the world around us. The culture we are raised in has a profound impact on our values, behaviors, and attitudes, all of which can play a significant role in determining whether we succeed or fail. In fact, one of the most powerful and often overlooked factors in achieving success is the cultural context in which we live. Take the example of Michael, an immigrant who came to the United States from a small village in India. Michael was highly educated, intelligent, and ambitious, but when he arrived in the U.S., he struggled to find a job in his field. He was surprised by the difference in the work culture. In his home country, success was often achieved through established hierarchies and a more formal, deferential approach to work relationships. In contrast, American workplaces emphasized independence, assertiveness, and self-promotion. Michael found it difficult to navigate the more informal and self-assertive workplace culture in the U.S. He realized that his ability to succeed depended not only on his skills, but also on his understanding and adaptation to the cultural norms of his new environment. Over time, Michael learned to adjust his approach. He began networking more aggressively, taking initiative in meetings, and presenting his ideas with confidence. Eventually, his adaptability to the new work culture helped him secure a high-paying job and, later, a leadership position in a major company. Michael's story highlights an important truth. Cultural differences can shape the way we approach work, success, and failure. When we understand and align ourselves with the cultural norms of our environment, we are better positioned to succeed. The role of culture in shaping success can also be seen in the experiences of many immigrants who come to the U.S. with valuable skills but struggle to thrive in a new cultural context. Cultural differences can affect everything from communication styles to the way we build relationships and manage conflict. For example, in many East Asian cultures, deference to authority and a strong emphasis on teamwork are deeply ingrained. In contrast, Western cultures often prioritize individual achievement, self-reliance, and personal initiative. Understanding these cultural differences can help individuals navigate their environments more effectively and ultimately achieve success. Consider the case of June, a software engineer who moved from China to Silicon Valley to pursue a career in technology. June was highly skilled and had a deep understanding of programming, but he struggled to make connections and move up the ranks in his new company. At first, June took a more reserved approach, waiting for instructions from his supervisors and avoiding confrontation. However, in the fast-paced, competitive environment of Silicon Valley, June's passive approach held him back. He soon realized that to succeed in this culture, he needed to speak up more, express his ideas confidently, and take risks. Once he adapted to the culture of innovation and assertiveness that was prevalent in the tech industry, June began to thrive. His ability to adapt to the cultural expectations of his new environment helped him land a leadership role and become a successful entrepreneur. The importance of culture in success is not limited to business environments. It also plays a critical role in education, sports, and even family dynamics. Take the example of Maria, a young student who grew up in a culture that emphasized collective achievement over individual accomplishment. In her family and community, success was viewed as something to be shared, and academic performance was seen as a reflection of the family's honor. Maria excelled in school, not because she was more intelligent than her peers, but because her culture instilled in her the value of education and the importance of doing well for the sake of the community. Maria's success wasn't just about her individual effort. It was shaped by the cultural values that were instilled in her from a young age. In contrast, John, who grew up in a culture that placed a greater emphasis on individualism and self-expression, had a very different experience. While John was academically capable, he struggled to focus on his studies and lacked the motivation to pursue long-term goals. He was more interested in personal exploration and pursuing his own passions. John's experience demonstrates how cultural values can shape our priorities and impact the way we approach challenges. While individualism can foster creativity and innovation, it can also make it more difficult to stay focused on collective goals or long-term success. Cultural influences are also evident in sports, with a role of teamwork, discipline, and perseverance plays a crucial role in determining success. In countries like Brazil, where soccer is a major part of the national culture, children are introduced to the sport at an early age and often play informally with friends and family. This cultural emphasis on soccer as a source of identity and community leads to a high level of enthusiasm and commitment to the game. As a result, Brazil has produced some of the world's most successful soccer players. However, the success of Brazilian soccer is not just a result of individual talent. It is the product of a culture that values soccer as a communal activity and fosters a sense of belonging and pride. On the other hand, in countries where soccer is not as deeply ingrained in the culture, success may depend more on individual talent and ambition. In places like the United States, soccer is often viewed as a secondary sport, and children may not have the same level of exposure or access to training as they would for sports like football or basketball. As a result, U.S. soccer players may need to put in more individual effort and initiative to rise to the top, as they do not benefit from the same cultural emphasis on the sport. This shows how cultural attitudes and traditions can shape the resources and opportunities available to individuals in various fields. Moreover, cultural norms around failure also influence how we respond to setbacks and challenges. In cultures that view failure as a learning opportunity and an essential part of the process, individuals are more likely to persist through difficulties and continue striving toward their goals. For example, in many Asian cultures, failure is not seen as something to be ashamed of, but as a necessary step toward mastery. This cultural perspective encourages individuals to embrace setbacks and learn from them, rather than seeing them as signs of personal inadequacy. On the other hand, in cultures that emphasize achievement and success, failure can sometimes carry a heavier emotional burden. In these cultures, individuals may feel a greater sense of shame or disappointment when they fail, which can affect their motivation and willingness to try again. The culture of a society also affects how opportunities are distributed. In some cultures, social networks, mentorship, and collaboration are highly valued, and success often depends on the relationships individuals build with others. In other cultures, success is more individualistic, and people may need to rely on their own abilities and resources to achieve their goals. These differences in how success is perceived and achieved can have a significant impact on the opportunities available to individuals from different cultural backgrounds. Ultimately, success is not just about individual effort. It is deeply influenced by the cultural context in which we are raised. The values, norms, and expectations of the culture around us shape how we approach work, how we interact with others, and how we view failure. By understanding the cultural forces that influence our lives, we can better navigate the path to success and maximize our potential. In conclusion, culture is a powerful driver of success. It shapes our values, behaviors, and attitudes in ways that influence how we approach challenges and seize opportunities. Whether we are in business, education, sports, or any other field, understanding and adapting to the cultural norms around us can make all the difference. Success is not just about what we do as individuals. It is also about how we respond to the cultural context in which we operate. Thank you for listening, and please like the video and subscribe for more great upcoming content that will put you in top 1% people in the world.